What's up, everybody? It's Gibberish HS here, and I'm here with another custom card review of the Friends expansion. We're going to be talking about the Druid and Hunter cards of this expansion. We've already gone over the Rogue and Priest, so I thought we'd get into these two classes today. Each video is going to have around 2 classes. So, with all that, let's just get started. The first card we have today is the Friendly Finger. It's a 2-cost 3/1 Druid minion. Excuse me. So we're starting with Druid, and it's a 2-cost 3/1. The Friendly Finger. It's a picture of Ross doing the double fist, and it says whenever your opponent plays a minion, gain +1 health. This is a rare, so it's very based off of your opponent, obviously. So I think it makes it a lot weaker. Now, if it was just whenever a minion was played, gain 1 health, that could be a lot stronger, because then you could build it off of that early game. Because, a Druid does have a lot of cards that summons a lot of minions. Alright, so, just different. It has just potential if it had that. I think without that, it's a little weak, and this should probably be a common. But, not every card is going to be great. So, moving on, we got Mustache Rachel from the Las Vegas episode. 2-cost 4/2 with Rush. Death Row, add a random beast to your hand. Now, that can be fairly strong. It's a rare Druid, so different things can come from that, and I think it can be really strong in certain decks. I think if it costs 3 mana and it was a 5/2, it would be a lot better, because then it could go with the Druid quest. Now, these cards I did all make myself for it, but I made these cards so they just be strong, but I like to come back on them, and I like to critique them a little bit, see how I could have made them better, and see if they're, fairly well made and stuff. And I think this one's decently made. I think it's a good card. Just getting that card generation is really strong. With the fact that it has Rush, I think really helps. And at a cheap price. So, moving on, we have an 8-cost 5/5 Pumpkin Ben. Alright. And it is a rare. It has Rush. Another Rush card. Death Row will restore 3 health to a random friendly character. So this is obviously... It's very expensive for the horrible stats. For the price, that's a little high. But it still works. I mean, I think that the Rush gives a big alternative. But it's fairly weak. I think this should probably be a common. But I think it's an okay card. So, moving on. Our first legendary of the video, we have Ross Geller. Yes, we got a Friends character, y'all. Ross Geller, 9-cost 3/4. Battlecry, summon a fossilized Devil Star. And if you don't know what that is, I believe it's an 8-cost 8/8 Death Rattle Beast from the League of Explorers expansion. So, since Ross Geller is a paleontologist, I thought this was very fitting. It's a 9-cost 3/4. Pretty hard stats, but don't forget that the fossilized Devil Star has stats with it. Alright, it has a death rattle, so it also comes with that. So it's basically a 3/4 that summons an 8/8 with a death rattle. So it's a pretty strong card. I actually think this card is really good, and it goes with the Druid theme. I think it has potential. The only problem is that 9 is a tricky spot for Druid, because you can't really do much. It's when you have a 9-cost card in Druid, it's usually the only thing you can play this turn. There's not very much you can do unless you have Innervate or the Biology Project card. So, besides, it's a little expensive, I think it's worth it for the reward. So, I love this card. Next is Emily Waltham. Yes, she's a legendary. She's a 3-cost 5/6. Can't attack. If you have 10 mana crystals, silence this minion. So basically, if you have 10 mana, you get a 5/6 for 3 mana. Pretty good. If you don't have that, it's pretty crappy, because it doesn't really fit into the theme of, token Druid. And I'm not sure if it's strong enough for, the other types of Druids, like late game Druids and stuff like that. But I do think I think it's just a good card. Like, if you just put this in your deck, yeah. I think it may be more epic quality, but I was pretty happy with it. So, moving on, we've got Nagi, our first spell today. A 5-cost epic spell. Restore 12 health. Any extra turns into armor. So this is kind of crazy. I think this is a great card, because it's just restore 12 health to any character. All right, just restore 12 health. So no matter what, you're getting that. All right. So you could restore 12 health to a minion. All right. Let's say it's like a 1/1 or like a 1/2 with 1 damage up to it. You heal like you gain 11 armor just from healing that. Now it's a little expensive, but I think for the reward, it's a pretty great card. Think of different cards like Healing Touch, which is 3 cost, that restores 8 health. This gives you an extra 4 health plus more armor. So because any minion you heal is going to have that, and even if you healed yourself, this still gives you a great benefit. So I think it's a really good card. I think this is one of the best cards in the Druid set. So yeah, I love this card. This is a really fun card to make. Next, Charlie Wheeler. 9 cost 3/5. This was a card I wasn't sure if I went a little too overboard in power. Battle Cry summon a 5/5 dinosaur. Death Rattle summon a 5/5 dinosaur. So you're getting 10/10 worth of stats for Nightmare. So it's a really strong card, and it's an epic. So I actually had debated between making Charlie Wheeler a legendary and making Emily Waltham an epic. So I still had debated against that, but I decided to make Charlie Wheeler a epic and Emily a legendary just because of the Friends lore. Emily has a much bigger role in Ross's life than Charlie did, so I decided to go with that instead. So moving on is a 4 Cos Spell, a common. It's our first common of the day, and it's called Tactics. Tactics is a choose 1 spell. Another thing, first choose 1 spell of the set. Next turn, give your minions 1/1, or next turn, revive 2 minions. So, I love this card because of the flexibility, and it's really cool to scheme with this. You know, it lets you set up for the next time you do it, you know? And I think it's really cool because each one of these has its own purpose. You can use this in a token deck. It's a little weak for a token deck. But you can use this in a token deck if you want to buff your minions, or you can just use this for a late game deck to revive 2 minions. Let's say you have you're playing a late game deck and all you have is big minions. This could be something that's really strong. So I like this card. I think it's really cool, and I think it works well with the meaning of the Friend's name too. You know, this is from when Ross is playing rugby and he needs to figure out how to take down Emily's helping them. So I think this is a really good card that represents what it means well. Next, 1 cost 1/2 Charm. College Boys. If y'all don't remember what Charm means, it just means the character that has Charm can't attack. So whenever this minion kills a minion, draw a card. 1 cost 1/3. So pretty strong, but it can't attack, so you have to silence it, but it can't be silenced because then it loses a great effect. Yeah, that's why it's a common. But if you could give it taunt and it kills them into that way, I mean, that's good. So, and I gave it charm because, you know, doesn't Ross Geller and Chandler look great? So, alright. And the last one is a common. Huddle. It's 8 cost 1/1. Death Rattle. Fill your board with 1/1 rugby players. And the rugby players look like this. I just grabbed a picture off the internet. I think this card is actually really weak because it's a Death Rattle. Yeah. And if you actually think of it, there is a card, I believe, actually, that is an 8 cost 7/7 with a Death Rattle for your board with 1/1 beast. So you get the beast energy and it's got stats. So this card is pretty crappy, but it represents the style of it better, so I liked it. So that is all we have for Druid. So moving on, we are going into our Hunter category. Hunter it is. Hunter has some of the silliest cards in the set. So we're going to start with a rare card, and it's called Hugsy. That's right. Hugsy is a 3 cost 3/4, and he has a Death Rattle. Summon a 1/3 Sleepy Joey, and here's Sleepy Joe. He's just a 1 cost 1/3 minion. And so yeah, I think this card's really funny. It's just very, very fitting for the type of deck it's in. So next up is a 1 cost rare Hunter card. It's called Windup Toys. It's of the episode of Emma's birthday, and they're doing the race. So, 1 cost 1/3 Windup Toys. Battlecry summon 3 1/1 toys with Rush. I think this card is so strong. And I made individual arts for those cards too. You get the toy penguin, the toy clown, and the toy smiley face. So I think this is really strong in any aggro deck because it's a 1 cost 1/3 that gives you 3 1/1s. Look, you know how strong that is? That is so strong. I can't believe that sometimes. So I really like this. I think it was really good. If I could change it, I probably would make it where the cards are added to your hand instead. But besides that, I think it's a really cool card and it matches the story of Friends really well. So moving on, we are on another common of the 6 cost 5/4 Bedtime Story. This is where Ross accidentally breaks the young girl who wants to go to the space camp's leg. And so the card is, at the end of your turn, gain +1 health. This is to represent her getting better and every day and her healing. So I thought it was an okay card. I don't really have much to say about it. I think it's cute. So next, 5 cost Hunter Spell called the Bluff. This is when they are in season 1 when they're playing poker with each other. Look at 3 cards. 1 is in your opponent's hand. If you choose the right card, then you can keep it. So I thought it was a really cool concept. Now there is a pre-spell that does a spell minion that does the same thing, a little less money, but this is a hunter card and it's a common. That was an epic. So you're having to pay more, but it's a common rather than an epic, and it's a spell, not a minion. So keep that in mind. And this is also specific to in the hand. So I like this card. I think it's very fitting for what the episode brought. So yeah, we're going to move on to a 1 cost 3/3. This card quits after 3 turns. It's Rachel Quits. So 1 cost 3/3 is amazing stats, but what it means that this card quits, it means it dies in 3 turns. So think of that for a second. Alright, so you got a 1/3. You play her, that's the end of your turn. That's 1. Okay? Then your opponent ends the turn. That's 2. And then you end the turn. That's 3. So she only really gets to attack once. But she dies the next turn. So it's kind of interesting trying to figure it out and all that. But if you think there's something like the Flame Imp in Warlock, it's a 1 cost 3/2 that when you play, it deals 3 damage to yourself. It's a 1 cost 3/3. It just dies at the end of your next turn, basically. I think it's fairly good. I think it's okay for any aggro deck. Now, what thing you could do, you could play this card and silence it, but Hunter's not really a silence type, so I don't see that much in the future. I love the card and its art and how it works with friends, so I'm a fan of it that way. Next is Arm Wrestling, 5 cost Hunter Spell, Epic, our first epic for Hunter. Reveal a minion in each deck. Whichever minion costs more, summon it for that player. And this is the picture of the bunny, of Chandler dressed in the pink bunny, and Ross dressed as Spudnik, which there is a card in neutral of Spudnik. Keep that in mind. So, I actually think this card is really strong. And if you can pull it off, great. And it's one of those things where it could be in a good Katharina deck. If you're making a big beast deck, this would be a really good card. Now, it's a risk because, what if your opponent's playing a big deck and they do this and then they get it? But this is one of the few cards I think should be in Hearthstone. Or maybe the art should change and the name should change. But I love this type of mechanic. I love that gambling risk type in Hearthstone. And I really love just seeing where it can either benefit both players in that way, you know? So I would love to see a card like this in Hearthstone. So, and if there is, let me know. Maybe I just haven't seen it. But I would love to see this in Hearthstone. Next is the Entertainment Center. 6 cost 5/10. Whoa, those are great stats, right? This minion takes 3 spaces instead of 1. So it's an epic, and I really love this card. I think it's perfect for the Friends art. I mean, it takes up 3 spaces. I thought that was really cool when I made it. And so I'm a big fan of it. It may be a little overpowered. I can see why someone would think this is way overpowered. But if you think of it, if you play 2 of these at a time, alright, you can't play, you can only play one more thing. Now, you may not need to, because then your opponent might have to just be freaking out trying to kill this. I mean, it has a lot of health. But I really love this card. I thought it was a lot of fun. So, I love it. If I had to rate this, I would give it a 4 out of 10 just because I love it so much. Next is our first legendary minion of the day for Hunter. It's Armadillo Ross. That's right, you heard me right. 7 cost for 8. Battlecry, discover a beast. Death Rattle, discover a spell. Now this is something that I love about Magic the Gathering. Because Magic the Gathering introduced, it lets you use different cards while your opponent's going. You can block. Alright, you can counterspell in the middle of their turn. So if they killed this during your turn, it would stop their turn for you to discover a spell. Now, one thing I think we would have to make sure is that you don't like wait to the last minute so they can't do anything on their turn. I think one thing is important is that maybe they could keep attacking while you're doing this, or you have a time limit on discovering the spell, and then it resumes their turn. So I think it's a kind of a cool thing about it. And the reason why I did it this way is because Armadillo Ross is kind of supposed to be like Santa or Hanukkah, type for Ben. So I thought it was kind of cool to give you something in return. So fun card, interesting concept, something to think about. Next is the 5 cost for 7, the Pink Rabbit. Yes, it's Chandler Beast. Alright, Battlecry, fill your board with 1 carrots. 4, 7, 5 fills the board. Beast. And notice how I made him a beast. Alright, so I think this card's really strong, really good stats, and it's hilarious. Works well with all the story and everything. So, oh yeah, I love this card. And the final one, 10 Cos Spell. Alright. 10 Cos Spell. Alright. Tastes like feet. Yes, you heard me. Tastes like feet is a spell. It's a rare. Okay, so a rare. Summon a beast, dragon, and murloc. Give them charm for 1 turn. So for 1 turn, they can't attack. It'd be like freeze in a way. But charm has a little more of a permanent effect. So I think that this card is really interesting, but I think it's a little expensive just because for the type of deck, I really don't see a deck you could put this in. And it's not like you're pulling this from your deck. If you're doing it from your deck, you can get specific on it. But you're not. You just summon a random dragon, a random beast, and a random murloc. And so that can kind of go either way. Most murlocs aren't that strong by themselves. A beast can be good, but there are a lot of cheap beast nows. And then dragons, again, we got something like Fairy Dragon or Alexstrasza. You never know. But Caligos is also an option now, so you never know. So I think it's a decent card, but I don't think it's a fantastic card. I think it's okay. So, yeah, with all that, that ends it for the Friends expansion, episode 2. So let me know which card was your favorite in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And I'll post the next Friends episode as soon as I can. I'll see you guys. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. If you like more of my videos, please check out the rest of my channel. And hey, please like and subscribe my videos. That would be awesome. So I hope to see you guys in the next video. See ya.